to the Freddie Kissoon show. Bring it.
Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, for an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Yes. A right, the right that someone has. All of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a future, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Very pleasant Friday evening to you from Queenstown, Lalouni, where the studios are. Very, very pleasant evening wherever you are, and hope when the weekend comes, you will find it satisfactory. We don't have a guest this evening because Leonard and I decide that there are things in Guyana that we need to analyze. And if you don't speak about these things, people will not, one, be educated, two, will not be enlightened, three, will not have access to a different interpretation, and four, will probably accept what is thrown out there. So we started months and months ago with Craig and I analyzing things. We'll have a guest on Wednesday, Monday's the call in. We'll have a guest next Friday. We've got a series of guests lined up, though guests are not hard to come by in this country. But Leonard will do his thing when I am finished with my introduction. Here is what I want to discuss. Yesterday, Thursday, this was my column in the Chronicle, my daily column. Today, Friday, I continue with yesterday's analysis. This is my column this evening. So what is this thing about the British High Commissioner? I can't pronounce his last name, it's French. I know his first name is Sebastian. So you can call my cell number at 614-5927 and ask me how to pronounce his last name. Sigo. It is Sigouin. It's French, it's Sigouin or what? Please call my number and tell me how to pronounce his name. So, what is this thing about that the High Commissioner got himself into some, either trouble, hot water, depending on how you look at it? Let me quote what the Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana said last week. And you have to be, diplomats have to be very careful before they push them out in other countries' business. That's not their role. But they can do it diplomatically. They do it all the time, but diplomatically. Now listen what the Canadian High Commissioner said, and then I will give you what I feel about what he said. I quote, this is the High Commissioner speaking. Democracy belongs to the Guyanese people, so speak up. Call on your elected representatives, on your National Assembly, on your government to take action and make the changes needed so that your electoral process is truly free and fair. It is your right and your responsibility. Let me read that again and tell you what he's talking about. This is the High Commissioner addressing the Guyanese people. This is not diplomacy. This the man decide he can talk to the Guyanese people. Democracy belongs to the Guyanese people, so speak up. Call on your elected representative, on your National Assembly, on your government to take action and make the changes needed so that your electoral process is truly free and fair. It's your right and your responsibility. I will give you my take on that, and then I will come with today's column. Now, what is this man talking about? He wants the Guyanese people to put pressure on the Guyana government to accept the findings of the EU election observer mission to the 2025 election in Guyana last September. What is my problem with this gentleman? My first problem is that I don't have a problem, and I may get some flacking for this, and some people may say, no, Freddie, you're wrong. I do not disagree with him making his comments. I believe it's undiplomatic. He should have been careful, and he should have worded it a different way. But he said that, and my position is the man said what he has to say. I am not against what he has to say. I'm coming to the man's hypocrisy, his double standard, and the hypocrisy, double standard of his government. Here are my two very, very strong, formidable positions on the Canadian High Commissioner. One, you cannot ask a government to accept a document that you like or you believe in. A substantial amount of intellectuals in this country, look, one is on my left. I am the longest serving columnist in the Caribbean, and others do not agree with the findings, some of which are extremely flawed. So he's asking the people of Guyana to put pressure on your government to accept a flawed document, a document that he believes in. Leonard Craig, myself, and other people have written about the flaws of this document, including His Excellency, the President of Guyana, who says the document got serious faults. So it's not that the man said, listen, there are parts of these findings you should ask the Guyana government to accept. The man is saying the document in itself, he never said parts. And parts of that document are obnoxious and hideous and incompetent. Political aberrations went on in the 2025 election that was never mentioned in that report. And some of those aberrations were cited by the People's National Congress itself, in which it talks about vote buy-in. Wynne went around trying to buy that election. You see video with Wynne people taking out money, sharing out to people. But these guys don't do no research. The advisor to Guyana One Commission came in the studio and knocked the report. You know, we had him in our Will Johnson. So this guy is asking the Guyanese people to speak up and let your representative in Parliament and you, democracy belongs to you, get your government to accept this report. So that's my first problem with him. Remember, I said I don't have a problem with the words he said. Here's my second problem. Questions for the Canadian High Commission. Do you think, I'm asking you now, asking anybody that's listening to the program, do you think the Canadian ambassador in Israel would have called upon the Israeli government and said, Israeli people said, look, the UN has accused your army and your armed forces and government of committing genocide. Speak up. Democracy belongs to the Israeli people. Speak up. Call on your government of Israel to stop genocide. Do you think the Canadian ambassador would say that? But I called the High Commissioner's office to ask him just two questions. Does his government accept that genocide has occurred in Gaza? The UN said yes. And if he, I don't know how to pronounce his French name, Sigouin, does he believe that genocide has occurred in Gaza? So for my article today, I asked him if it's not right for the Canadian ambassador in Israel to speak up, just like how he spoke up in Guyana. But do you think that man will answer any question from the press about genocide in Gaza? No, he's not. Whatever his name is, Sigouin, how do you pronounce that? Sigouin. You studied, you know German. You studied in Germany. Oh, I can pronounce this Sigouin now. My wife did French. Sigouin. Mr. Sigouin or whatever. Do you believe genocide has occurred in Gaza? Do you and your government accept the UN report, which I quoted from in my column tonight, in my column today? The UN said 4 of the 5 indictments in the 1948 International Law on Genocide, the Israeli government is guilty of committing 4 of those sections. So I'm gonna give over to Craig. Is this IPAS? Well, I don't know if you know what IPAS is in Guyanese context, but the man is running. The man isn't answering the press. The man, I called and they said, someone will speak to you. And I will keep calling his office. I want to know if he believes genocide has occurred in Gaza. If he says yes, will he tell his Canadian people they must accept that genocide has occurred? If he says no, then why he expect us to pressure the Guyana government to accept a document that we don't believe in? Craig, what do you make of this?
Good evening to you viewers. I want to start on a light note. I heard that Michael Rodriguez, my friend, has signed some sort of contract to fist fight with Doggy, and Doggy called himself the big stinking Doggy. But just mention it in passing, and I think that's going to be a crowd pleaser. I ain't going to get a front row ticket to that. Freddie,
but you just going to block out that guy? You see what
Freddie? We don't know. The man say he's training, and there is a video on Facebook say he's going to pull in his belly. He's going to pull in his belly and all of that.
Let's move on. But
moving on.
But that's what you're talking about is light. You say light, but Rodriguez could kill that man.
Well, Freddie, we got buy tickets and go.
No, I don't want to. You laugh from that could be a tragedy. You see it, Doggy size to make it.
No, man, if the man train.
No. Don't. That's nothing like. That's nothing.
I ain't betting on a horse. I gonna bet on the night.
Rodriguez could kill that man. Anyway.
Well, let's see. Anyway, let's go to. For me, I don't want to make much of a comment except to say, as a diplomat, that individual went a little too far. What they could have communicated to the people is that this is the way we do it in Canada. In Canada, we call up our representative when we have issues and we have reforms that we are looking for. This is the way we do it. It's the same message, but you are not speaking, you're not entreating Guyanese people as if you are an opposition politician. So that gentleman needs to be a little more careful and a little more selective in the way, and a little more diplomatic, because that would be very undiplomatic. And basically that would be the extent to my comment on that.
But do you think the Canadian ambassador in Israel, what is occurring in Israel, do you think he has said something similar to the Israeli population?
No. Not in a month of Sundays. He won't. No.
With the ice past Guyana.
Maybe that's your interpretation, but I just think this was injudicious, and I'm gonna leave it as that. And the larger issue, though, I want to touch on again. I know we touched on it maybe on 2 programs in the past, but the larger issue is that when sometimes people and these diplomats and other people from the Western developed countries, when they come to do something in your country or in countries such as ours, they tend to project a kind of superiority complex where they try to tell us that their system is better than ours, or the system from which they come, and sometimes it's just far from the truth. For example, we celebrate America as being a bastion of democracy. Everybody say that around the world. But what's democratic about a president, a person, well, not a president, let me fix that, a person receiving less votes than his opponent and can still win an election? You know, that
But the electoral college decides who's the president rather than
one man, one vote. And what is that is a very undemocratic system, but it is in their constitution, and we go along with our lives respecting that. And similarly, but when people from America, Canada, and some of these places, they
if
come
we had
together,
that here, they'd ask us to change it.
might very well would have done so. They might very well would have done so, and they make negative comments to our system when they have I don't want to use the other S word, but they have a trashy system there, and they come and speak down to us, and I think the system we have in Guyana is better by miles.
You can't have a confirmed chancellor or chief justice unless the opposition leader decides.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah. When in America, for example, I remember this case with Obama. For example, he had an entire year remaining on his thing, and he wanted to confirm a judge, and you know the party structure on the opposite side said no, nobody can confirm any judge in their last year. And then when the script was flipped and they got the presidency,
they did it. Yeah.
They had 3 months remaining,
and Trump nominated that,
and judge was nominated. So a lot of these things, for me, I don't have a problem necessarily with that. People have got to take political position and try to win thing. But when you are going to leave that trash that you have and come to us and preach down on us, that is the problem I have.
And they do it all the time.
That is the problem I have. Because, for example, a couple of things are playing out in our politics too. There is some, as some would say, a delay in the leader of the opposition being named or seated or whatever is the legal term to use. But it's part of our politics. Let our politics play out. Now, as far as I know, the constitution is not being breached and all that. Let the politics play out. You can see the quality of politicians when they reach with this type of adversity or adversary. You get to see people's character. You get to see how clever some of these politicians are and so on. So sometimes the adversity is good. Let it play out, let the politics thing, and that is why I didn't plan to talk about this today, but I just let me mention it because thing. And that is why I didn't like that the chairperson of GCOM is the one who is leading this Vincent Alexander thing and suspend GCOM and so on. I don't like that because she is not a politician. She shouldn't put herself in the political space. Let Azruddin and Norton and the others work that out. And she should remain neutral and just, hold her professional corner, so to speak. And, so all of these political things that are playing out, you got Region 10, all this part of the political process, show some resilience, work around the political process, and stuff like that. And, and all of that is part of the life of a country in developing and maturing. And I am with you 100% on other politicians leaving their jurisdiction to come and lecture us.
But there's so much to discuss about the sham democracy of the Western world. Do you know every year there is World Press Freedom celebrated around the world in Guyana, and the US and the Western embassies issue press releases and do you try and see if anybody can speak to the High Commissioner of Canada, the UK, and the ambassador of the EU and the US embassy. You got to go through a whole set of people, and who's your name and what is your name, and most of the time you don't get through. And these people were waiting for CNN and the BBC to call them. Any US ambassador anywhere in the world would take a BBC call or a CNN call. It's just these people are disrespectful for us. I call you as a columnist. I have years now would pick up the phone and try to get to one of those embassies. You can't. You can't. They will tell you, well, we will, your message will be delivered to the US ambassador, etc. But they never, and they talk about press freedom. And those of you who are listening from the media, pick up the phone and see if you can get any ambassador of the Western world that have embassies in
when they have a public event, then you got to find them and and get a comment.
These people would lecture to us on World Press Freedom, how important journalism is. Now look at the British High Commission. Look at the Canadian High Commission. I am the Caribbean's longest serving columnist. Of course, I don't want him to respect me. I can't force him to respect me. But he would not speak to me on genocide of Palestine. He probably would not speak to me. And that is press freedom for them. There's so much that they come here, and these programs are important to educate our people. One of the things that I'm getting old, and I wonder if I will ever see the world change for the better. A woman in France cannot wear a burqa, that thing over her. Yeah, that is banned. But a man can marry a man in France. A woman can marry a woman in France. A woman and another woman could sit down in a train kissing. And if a woman next to them kissing wears her burqa, she has to take it off because it's illegal. And they will come here and tell us.
But religious freedom and all kinds of things. Yeah.
Just imagine, to put a thing over you cannot, it's illegal. Just imagine to say as a journalist, to say in a room where it's a lecture, you get up and say, but sir, you're wrong. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. security will escort you out. And these people would tell us about what is democracy in the global south. And Leonard Craig, I studied in Canada, you studied in Germany, so we know the Western world. These people have dominated our thinking for hundreds of years. And we need to free our people from this kind of mad narrative that the West have imposed on us. That this guy could come as a diplomat and tell us, speak out, democracy belongs to you, get your government to accept this EU report. You know, and he wouldn't face the press.
So sometimes these skewed leaning in these reports and some of the speeches that we hear, I think it is born out of that kind of, to use your term, disrespect. But not only that, we have locals in Guyana who encourage the disrespect when
the third one brings it on themselves.
When it suits their narrative. So somebody will come and say, we don't have press freedom, or the press is not as free in Guyana as it is in America, for example. Have you seen what happens in America and the press? I mean, you know, and so on. So when such a statement is made by any international body and it suits the narrative of the other side, they take it and they magnify it and praise these people for saying these things. But when you drill down to the real issues, you know, it is just one incident, and they magnify it and paint it to say as though it's customary for these things to happen in Guyana. But you know, it is one of those territories, and again, I'm saying I am extremely put off when people try to insert themselves in the political process and directly entreat the population to behave a certain way. And that is raw politics. And those in the diplomatic service need to be careful.
You know, I am getting old and I can't remember names, I hope. And I know the guy very well. I know his first name is Timothy. In fact, I think he was the first guest on this program. He told me at the time he was the president of the Guyana Chamber of Manufacturing Sector and Chamber of Commerce. His first name is Timothy. I know he has a cleaning business, like where you go to corporations and bill and clean out. His name is Timothy. I just can't. That man applied for a UK visa. That's before
it was
visa free for holiday with his friends. And you can get a visa from the Canadian High Commission. They passed it out to a private company. And the private company, you don't have any contact with them. You can't call them, you don't know the name. So Timothy wasn't hearing from them, and he asked Jane Miller, the US High Commissioner, and he told me, Fred, he can quote me. And I put Miss Miller's name in the caption of the article. I didn't put her name, I said a British High Commissioner. She told Timothy, I can't intervene. This company is working for the British government, and she represents the British government. And she told the man she can't talk to the people, the VFS people. The man didn't get his visa in time to holiday with his family. You know, I said this in my column. If the VFS people that give the visa had an apartheid banner inside the office, the High Commission couldn't intervene. If an Israeli Jew in Guyana was was visiting from Israel, and he wanted a British visa, and he was in Guyana, and he applied to the VFS people, and he wasn't hearing from them, and he asked Miss Jane Miller, you think Miss Jane Miller will tell him I can't intervene? This is the disrespect, and we have accepted it for 500 years.
Apart from that, though, even if you don't want to intervene on a specific case, you say, man, look, I am not going to, it is our policy that I'm not going to intervene on a personal matter, but these inordinate delays are not part of our makeup or SOPs
so she will call
or whatever.
On delays.
I will call them on this matter.
So she can't intervene.
But to say, hey, you can't intervene at all.
For a company that whole government employs.
When you are serving people, and it's a paid service at that, and visas are not cheap, you expect some kind of efficiency. And at least you could assure the person that our SOPs are geared for the system to be efficient, and your complaint is suggesting a breakdown. I will look at that. You know, at a basic level.
Name? I should have bought that, and next week I'm going to bring that column that I wrote. But what is sham about these people's democracy? There's no transparency. The VFS people said you cannot have a telephone number from them. You cannot have the manager's number or name, deputy. You are at a complete loss. When you go to that office, after you've applied, there's a guard, and the guard said, so, no, we don't have any information about that. You have to wait until we contact you. So Timothy wasn't hearing from them. The man never got to holiday with his family. And Ms. Jane Miller, no offense, could not intervene with a company how government contracts to give out visas. So listen what happens. GBTI or One Communication employs a company to share out food in Region 3. And somebody in Region 3 contact One Guyana or GBTI and say, the people gone in Region 6 and then sharing out the food in Region 3. So One Guyana company and GBTI cannot tell this company that they employ to share out food, man, what are you doing? You're not, look, people all over Region 3 say they're not seeing you, they're not getting this handout, and it's being shared out all over Region 6. That is what, in effect, Miss Jane Miller was telling Guyanese.
Yeah.
Yes, what? Look, I have gotten. I mean, I've age, you're very young, and I wonder if we in the global South will throw off this kind of persistent colonial disrespect.
The Caribbean news now.
Gonzalez lost after 24 years.
Ralph Gonzalez.
I honestly think, as someone who studied political theory, that you should have term limits in everything. The football president, the president of Guyana. And do you know the world accept term limits in something called retirement? We can't. When all those soldiers and police and civil servants right now, when they reach 55, term limit is up. So why you can't have term limit for two terms, 3 terms?
That 3 at most.
The man had 24 years as PM.
And you get the feeling that political weariness stepped in the country. Because
after 24 years, incumbent is going to lose.
Yeah, because Gonzalez had his paws in everything on the island, and when you visit St. Vincent,
I never did. You visit?
You get a feeling like people feel that the Gonzalez family own the island, and I think that more than anything worked against them. In my opinion, and you got to actually be there, and you got to actually walk the streets to understand how people feel on an everyday basis. So when this election was coming up, I had a feeling that Gonzalez would be gone. Yeah. Whether close or by, and if this current opposition that is in power now, albeit they're led by a guy in fairly advanced age, but if they do the right things by the people, Gonzalez's party is not going to come back for a long time. But then again, you don't know how they will perform. But let's see how it is. And as you said, I do support term limits. I think in some cases 2 terms might be too short. I support up to 3 terms. But 2 terms is maybe a lot of countries.
Well, it depends on how long. If it's 5 years, 2 terms is a lot. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah, but
you want a man to be headed.
I think
for 15 years.
I think people use that 2 term because they're being influenced by the U.S. system. But as you said, yes, a decade, is a long time. But there are some people. It's a long time if the president is a non-performer. But then there are some performers that you would wish.
No, but term limits, whether he's a phenomenal performer, for example, I think Irfan Ali will be the definitive Caribbean leader when he goes. But I believe in term limits. That guy in Colombia was just a phenomenon. But term limits does 2 things. It prevents the inculcation of the leader that may be special. And from day on, you don't know what can happen. And secondly, it gives other people a chance of exercising power. Now, as we're on to Gonzalez, do you know Lincoln Lewis is now in 32 years as head of the TUC. The head of the Public Service Union, Patrick Yard, is 36.
Yeah.
And
the guy at Human Rights.
He's 79, he's longer. From 79, he was president in 79.
Then you have this guy at Guyana Consumer Association.
Pat Dial?
I can't remember his
Pat
name.
Dial is his name.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he was. I don't think it's in the 30s.
Probably.
It was a lady named Cox.
Oh, Eileen Cox. And she had to die in the position.
Right. And then he took over, but he hasn't taken over from her.
Yeah. When you come to think about it, indeed. Right. But she was there forever.
Norris Witter from National Workers Union is past 25. But you realize what Lincoln Lewis and Mike McCormack and Patrick Yard have done? When you were in your 30s, you say you're going to get a shot at the thing, but now you're in your 50s, and you're still there. It's just, well, Gonzalez, he was a fixture on the Caribbean scene. I had a little problem with him because I think at the back of his mind, he wasn't strong in protecting us against Venezuela. I think he had something going on with Venezuela. I just felt that he wanted to be a go-between between Venezuela and us. And Venezuela have a claim on us that is illegal.
Yeah.
And I think he should have told Maduro, back off this our West Indian brother and sister, man. I
think Venezuela in the past was good to those Eastern Caribbean nations.
Under Chavez.
Yes. And many leaders of that time ingratiated themselves with Venezuela. And then if you come from a certain political mindset, because he has often portrayed himself to be one of those radical third world leaders. And so clinging to Venezuela is probably an ideology for him more than his support for Guyana. And then he is a good friend of Guyana and he wanted to straddle both lanes. But he is no longer in the seat. Let's see what the new person will do. But you know what, with Gonzalez though, I think the length of time Gonzalez was there, Gonzalez could have been the quintessential Caribbean leader if he had taken certain leadership path with respect to CARICOM and things like that. But what I find is that many of these Caribbean leaders that acquire stature, they are them around so many issues with respect to Caribbean, integration and speaking firmly on behalf of the Caribbean. They lose a lot of their thing. Manning had stature and he had an opportunity to be the quintessential Caribbean
Patterson
leader.
Of Jamaica too.
Yeah, those guys, and just when, just before that mountaintop experience, they chicken out literally. I will support our current president. I think he is acquiring and he has acquired that Caribbean man stature.
Yeah, he's got to eclipse everybody.
And I think he should.
I have to sit down and tell him I'm expecting him to do that.
Yeah, when it comes to Caribbean matter, I saw him spoke boldly on the Israeli Palestinian thing. He spoke boldly without fear that the Palestinian, what is happening in what Israel is doing is.
But Leonard, should we finish this program without discussing the emasculated psyche of some of our Caribbean leaders? You imagine that guy from Trinidad, the just outgoing Trinidadian Prime Minister.
Rowley.
Imagine Rowley was there for 9 years. Rowley leaving after 9 years. And in the speech, demitting office, said, we must come out to the Privy Council right away. The Privy Council is nonsense. What we doing in the Privy Council?
Yeah, and the Caribbean Court of Justice is right in Trinidad.
And he was there 9 years. But guess why he said that? The UK put visa restriction on Trinidad. So you got to get a visa now to go to the Privy Council. 9 years. Now I don't know. I hope somebody, I will check it. If this was a live program, I'd ask somebody to call in. I don't know if under Gonzalez they joined the appellate section of the CCJ. I
could check it right now. I
know Dominique.
I doubt it.
So what he was doing for 24 years? It's us, Belize, Barbados. That's 3. Dominica is 4. Yeah, just check is St. Vincent in the CCJ. Well, all Caribbean countries are in the CCJ. It's the appellate section of the CCJ. Whether they accept that, so it got to be a CCJ the appellate court for St. Vincent. But what he did for 24 years, what you could do is the Caribbean countries that have the CCJ as their court of appeal. That's how you could put it.
Right, it is not part.
It's not part
based on what is on Google. It is part of the CCJ for original.
Yeah. Every country in CARICOM is part of the CCJ,
but not as a final court of appeal.
Just imagine that.
Yeah,
you would think he would have.
And I would hope if President Ali is listening, and if his aides or whomever relay stuff that's happening in the media to him. And if I ever see President Ali, I would say to him, take leadership on this issue and call hard on these countries in the Caribbean.
He said it a month ago.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, follow it up hard and take a strong step with respect, because President Ali now is the Caribbean leader, probably him and Mia Mottley. They are the Caribbean leading.
The leading lights in the Caribbean, leading political lights. Yeah.
And he needs to take leadership on this matter. And
why are we still in the Privy Council?
Yeah.
The judges there are not better than CCJ.
Not only that, the Privy Council themselves
want us to.
I've seen several articles over time that asks why people keep coming, and it's unheard of. I don't know. I don't know why. It's a
degenerative aberration in West Indian history.
It's very.
We have the CXC
and some of these very leaders who refer to themselves as third world, like Gonzalez and Manning, and some of these guys who portray themselves.
Manning, they got the Manning initiative. He wanted Trinidad, Barbados, and Guyana to be more united.
Yeah.
And while we were more united with Trinidad, he's sending the lawyers to fight cases in CCJ.
Yeah.
What is wrong with these people? 27 European countries have one appeal court, the European Commission of Human Rights. They subscribe to that.
Yeah.
We are less collectively, excluding Haiti, we are less than 5 million.
Do you know that in economics, in international trade, the Caribbean has the second deepest integration movement, which is the Eastern Caribbean after the EU.
Yeah. They have the same currency and everything.
The same currency,
same custom
ports, and all those kinds of things. And if that model doesn't suggest to the wider Caribbean that it could actually work, I don't know what else we're waiting for. And Guyana, law-wise, Guyana is far more integrated than even some states in the US.
No. Don't go there, man. Our judges, our CCJ judges are of immense integrity when compared to the rest of the Western world.
Yeah, and we got a Council of Legal Education that manages the law schools and
I don't trust none of those judges. You know what the governor of California, Obama, and the present governor of California said? The former Attorney General in the Obama administration, Eric Holder, the present governor of California, and Obama himself, one of them used the word, I can't remember which one of them, that the Supreme Court of the United States is broken. Those people vote for a president that they like.
It's highly
they
political,
give a decision for their president, not on court cases. You know that man Julian Assange never committed a crime in the US, and they denied that man bail for 5 years. And we are paying those very judges that deny Assange bail. They are our appeal court judges. But not Guyana. We threw away that trash a long time ago. But Jamaica, the home of Bob Marley,
of radicalism,
the home of Marcus Garvey, the home of Michael Manley,
one of the first
home of the Rastafari culture.
One of the first persons we need to tackle, though, is that same Mia Mottley. Mia Mottley speaks strongly on behalf of Caribbean unity, and she needs to come out and use the CCJ as the final appellant.
But what she gonna do? You want you? But Ali and she could do. She could attack. You would think more. You would think that we name would have done it.
Yeah.
And Kamala Bissell, don't worry with that. She's not into that one. I don't know what happened, but she's not into the CCJ as the appellate. Not her. I think that lady has a colonial mentality. But I think the biggest aberration, mystery is Jamaica. Jamaica have led the Caribbean in terms of alternative culture. Jamaica have given us Usain Bolt. Do you know when you check, do you know Jamaica has given us 2 triple centurions, Chris Gale and Lawrence Rowe? Jamaica, you would think Jamaica, I keep telling people I meet all over Guyana. If you go to any country in the world and you ask them, you know where is Belgium? You know where is Greece? And you tell them, they may hesitate, they may say, will you ask anybody in Afghanistan and Pakistan, you know where Jamaica?
Yeah.
Everybody in the world know where Jamaica.
Yeah. Surely. And Jamaica should have led, should have been one of the leading lights with respect to carving out, the Caribbean culture, Caribbean jurisprudence, a Caribbean, way of living. And these guys, go maybe they want the plane ride or something. And these days they don't even get the plane ride.
Which plane ride? You get charged more than your lawyer can't find plane ride to go to Privy Council.
No, but these days they use technology a lot.
Zoom?
Yeah. Whether Zoom or whatever other technology.
But I would like to get into the head of wholeness. PJ Patterson, Ralph Gonzalez, and what is it about these judges that they find superior to our judges? Why then?
And not only that, some of these judges have never come to the Caribbean, have never seen the Caribbean. They don't understand Caribbean people culture.
Some of them probably don't know where Guyana is.
And all of that.
Where St. Vincent is.
Yeah. And they sit. And sometimes when you read some of their judgment that they give, they tell you plain that we are not the best people to handle these matters, but we did the best we can. In some of the things you read it plain. You read cases coming out of the Privy Council from Jamaica on some of these things. And I'm not talking about, I don't necessarily read the case file itself, but the reports on it. Reporters will report that the judge said this or that or whatever.
Something is wrong. This is a nice region. I'm a Caribbean man. I don't want to be northern, but I can understand how for 48 or maybe 30 something years the heads meet every year.
Yeah.
Yet we don't have one currency.
Yeah. And not only that, people, you still gotta go through a lot of these immigration hold up to just get into one of these Caribbean countries. And these days, there is no distinction between level of development. They used to have most developed and least developed. That thing should go out the window right now. And just open the Caribbean region. I lived in Europe for 2 years. I lived in Germany. And there is a group of, I think, 13 countries where you get one visa called the Schengen visa.
It's not for the old 27? I know when the UK was in thing, they didn't have that.
The UK wasn't part of it. There are some countries that wasn't part of it, I think.
But they're all 27 aren't?
No. They're not all. Some of them, I think, Switzerland.
Switzerland's not in the EU.
Right, and some of the other countries you can't think. But they are also... anyway, you get into Germany through your legitimate means, your student, whatever it is, and you can literally just take a bus and travel all over Europe. You travel to France.
That's because you have a Schengen visa. The Schengen visa is a European visa.
Yeah, the visa that you're given for Germany is the same visa.
It's a Schengen visa. There's no German visa or Italian visa.
In fact, once you are traveling from Germany, there's hardly any checks going over into France. You just drive. You just nobody asks you
Yeah,
anything.
because if you got, and,
Right?
and
Because they trust that you have arrived in Germany legitimately.
they check you out, right? You've been
Right,
checked
and
out.
you have been checked out, and you now have access. You just take a bus and you travel and you sleep. And when you wake up in Prague or one of those
It is
places.
so sad, though. It's sad, man, that it's sad that we don't have. I think our visa in the Caribbean is just for 90 days. Yeah, Caribbean visa we have visa-free travel, but up to 90 days. After 90 days, you don't have to ask the immigration in the individual Caribbean country to extend it.
Is it 90 days? I think it's 6 months. Well, you might be right, but 6 months if you go with one of those Caribbean work
Permit.
Not a work permit. It has another name.
There's no work permit for CARICOM anymore.
It has another name. You go with this thing, and you got 6 months to find a job and what have you. But the point I'm making
I think it's 90 days.
The point I'm making is you shouldn't even have any of that.
No, you shouldn't.
You are cleared to enter Trinidad, for example. It then gives you access to the rest of the Caribbean. You could just travel freely without being checked and without being, having to face additional immigration scrutiny unless there is some.
I would like to find out why Barbados did and a few other countries did. Free movement now. I don't know.
But it is not completely. It's not complete free movement. It's not complete. Some territories are not part of it. I
don't understand. We should have been part of it.
Too many thing. But Guyana has always been free and open to anybody who come. I don't think we put. The only time you hear...
No, we don't put... We've never... People never had that hassle.
Right.
Caribbean
the only time you hear
hassle.
restrictions on people is if you're going to hear a Jamaican person was caught with something or was part of a fight and the person get deported. But unless a person comes to Guyana and commit crime, they are not... I don't know of any restrictions.
I did a column in which I suggested to President Ali that CARICOM, you should have a Jamaican education officer here. Mm-hmm. You should have a Trinidadian custom man in Jamaica. So at least it helps to deepen the integration thing.
Yeah, like an exchange kind of thing. And understand the immigration system and the laws all around. And
we could have a traffic chief. We could have a traffic chief from Jamaica here, and Guyana could be the traffic chief in Dominica.
And do some exchanges and
I don't understand why we just about 5 million people. We speak the same language. We look alike, the same culture and everything. But look, you got Romanians. The Romanians and the French are different. Even different in complexion and everything. And they're part of the... But we got 2 minutes more up way to say it. Apart from discussing this, what the High Commissioner did, we didn't get time to touch on any when the PNC. What Mr. Camp? I know David Hines said that the PPP won a rigged election,
and Win said that, and you see, and these guys are saying the election was rigged, but not at the ballot box, not at the SOP. They're saying that
the antecedents.
Yes.
The antecedents, right.
Because there is no complaint against the SOPs and against what happened at the ballot box. But they're saying everything else was rigged, and the fruit from the poison tree, which is the SOP, that is the rigging of the election. But Azruddin went further by being stupid and saying the votes we get is not that is what they gave us. That is not what we got.
So they favored win over the PNC because they get
apparently, which is just at least David Hines and the PNC. They're saying, okay, the system is rigged, and out of a rigged system came that result. If the system was fixed, you might have had a different result. All right. But to say the votes you got is what they give us, is not what we got. We that is madness, you know. That's real madness, and I hope somebody check out Aswedin's head.
But you may get a psychiatric examination. You probably get that when you enter jail in the U.S.
I need to mention something quickly. They got a guy that just go wrong as poor people governor. That's the name he just called himself. And every now and then this thing just flash up on my thing. And I don't always agree with him. But he
got a real name? Is a real man?
Yeah, real man. But that's the name he goes by. And he's
people see him on
deep, dark PNC, his face and everything is known. And he said something about Aswedin the other day. I don't know when, but it popped up on my thing and I saw it. He said, hey, Aswedin, if you saying you're innocent, just don't fight this thing, go and face your music. You're going to be exonerated and you're back in Guyana in months. What's your problem? And, to tell you the truth, that is how I feel about this thing. You're claiming you're innocent. The PPP from Guyana is manipulating the strings to get you out. And I'm innocent. Just go face your charge and come back.
I would close. We are a minute over time. The operator said, but the thing I would like people to know is that he can probably take the most expensive lawyers.
Exactly.
That some big corporations can't. Those people are trillionaires.
Yeah.
He could pay a lawyer any million that they want. So go over there, get those.
Prove yourself, get exonerated and come back to Guyana before 2030. You might be president.
Yeah. You're seeing the two of us. You will see the two of us again on Monday evening when we take your calls. And then there's a guest on Wednesday and a guest on Friday. This was us rapping among ourselves. We call it the Freddie Leonard Dialogue. So we will see you on Monday for a call in. And please call in, let us know what's happening. Have a very pleasant weekend. Do enjoy your weekend and reflect on where your life is going. And if it's not going good, try to correct it. And if it's going good, take it higher. As I normally say, catch you later. Bye-bye.